Well, look at who's back in the news again. And that's because she just can't stop running her mouth and talking a bunch of BS. And shout out to Craig Jarrett for sending me the article. So, Candace Owens, yet again being the coonstress propaganda artist that she has put herself out there to be, is out there once again just talking a shit as usual. This time, she's saying that she never remembered dealing with racial issues growing up as a teen. I and many other people who do decent research beg to differ. Now, we all know where we're headed at with this one. So I'm about to read this article from the Hill Reporter, and it reads, Candace Owens says she doesn't remember all these race issues growing up, but as a teen, she received a $37,500 settlement over racist phone calls. And everybody has talked about that. I think even she has talked about that. Now all of a sudden she says she's never experienced racial issues. This woman is one big ass liar who does anything she can to get and secure the bag. Because she has to do and say these inflammatory things that make no sense in order to continue to stay relevant and stay paid. I'm starting to wonder, does she even believe half the shit that comes out of her mouth? Not even half, an ounce of the shit that comes out of her mouth. Because ever since she got removed from Turning Point USA, her and that coon Brandon Tatum and a few others, she has done nothing of, she never did anything of substance to begin with. Anyway, the woman is nothing more than a habitual liar. And palm-colored folks eat all her shit up, and they constantly throw her in our faces as if she's some kind of savior for black people, especially ADOS. And isn't one of her family members from the Caribbean? But anyway, let me get into this article. Candace Owens has become an important voice for the modern Republican Party. She is a young African-American, I put that one in air quotes, conservative who has appeared at congressional hearings and is a regular on a number of Fox News programs. On Monday night, Owens appeared as a guest on Laura Ingram's show to discuss Donald Trump and race because, she can't talk about anything else. She's literally a one-note artist. The pundit claimed that she didn't remember these kind of racial issues while growing up. As a teen, though, Owens received a large cash settlement from Stamford, Connecticut over racist phone calls. Owens told Ingram that racial sensitivities had been kicked up by the presidency of Barack Obama, according to her. That's the next statement. Obama did a lot to tear this country apart. I do not remember when I was growing up having all these race issues. Okay, I really don't remember it. Candace, you are way too young, yet you look kind of old, but you are way too young to be having all these memory issues or to be suffering from amnesia. That's not amnesia she's suffering from. That's just coomnesia that she's suffering from. Then suddenly towards the end of Obama, we started hearing all this rhetoric drummed up, this white versus black all over again. This woman, like I said, she comes to bat for palm-colored people but claims that she's for black people. She's not. She is all for attention and money. If you were to strip her of all of that attention she's getting and all the money she's receiving, she would try to hop the fence to get back over to the black side if she was even ever on that side. I wonder, what kind of person was Candace Owens prior to us finding out about who she is? I want her to go away like Paris Denard. Like, we don't hear about him no more. This is probably the first time y'all heard his name just now. That's what I would like her to do. And as a matter of fact, her doing what she's doing right now is nothing more than her to try to keep her name out there so she doesn't fade into obscurity like Paris Denard. So she's trying to stay on the good side of these palm-colored folks and have lips pressed to ass of each and every last one of them, especially 45. She's kissing him in the front and in the back, if you know what I mean. And this rhetoric right here that she's talking about Obama, yes, we know Obama was not the best president, especially for black people. And we know this. But for her to bring up, she's using the tired palm-colored rhetoric that whenever black people bring up racism, that we're somehow dividing the nation, like we're being divisive. And then they'll come right back with black on black crime this, 13% of the population, 50% of the crime. And you know about the video I just did with the 1391. That one too. That's that new one that they come up with. And a host of other things. And she aids in that. She feeds off of that energy. You know what? One way there probably would not have been any coons if palm colored people did not have all this power. But then again, it's kind of hard to tell. That's one of the things of what if, and we'll never know. But like I said, the empire is falling, and with a fallen empire, the coons will fall as well, because they're going to have to kick them off the ship to make room for themselves, to try to save themselves. And the coons have no space, and they ain't going to send them over here, because we're just going to let them just fall right down the middle, because they can't come back over here. They are not welcome. Like they said in Bad Boys 2, the devil is not welcome here. And you're looking at one on your screen. Some more news. Scribe Cody Johnston shared a video of Owens' comments writing, when Candace Owens was growing up, she sued her city for $37,500 after receiving racist phone calls from the mayor's son. And might I add, she won that lawsuit. So that's 37,500 reasons as to why Candace Owens experienced racism, but she claims she doesn't remember experiencing it. So she received this money to basically keep her mouth shut, and all of a sudden now she done forgotten that she at one point did experience racism. And now it's saying that there was no racism. You know what? I can't stand black people like her who try to claim that racism isn't there, it's not there, because they never experienced it. And she doesn't count, because she basically said herself that she experienced it. They got the court documents like right there. All they got to do is go back and look it up and say, Candace Owens lawsuit because of racial taunts over the phone. And I think it was the mayor's son, if I'm not mistaken. So it was the son of a prominent figure out of Connecticut. So it's not like it's hidden knowledge or hidden information. It's out there. We know. She knows, but she's trying to play dumb. In 2016, Owens told the Stanford Advocate, one night as I sat watching a movie, a group of anonymous boys called my cell phone and left me a series of voicemails. Their words to this very day represent the most horrific that I have ever heard uttered against another human being. 2016, we're talking 3 years ago. So you mean to tell me, Candace, that you forgot 3 years ago that you came out and said that you experienced racism while you were at school and received a settlement payment of $37,500. And I don't even think she finished school. I think she dropped out. So she's a college dropout and a liar. She is nothing more than a bird head. A flightless bird head at that. Let's see. It's some additional information that I wanted to bring to y'all. That was the end of that particular article. But it was something else I wanted to bring up because someone had posted something on Twitter. Let me see if I can scroll through this. Oh, found it. And this is coming from News One, and it was actually dated 2 months ago. And the name of the article is called "Every Receipt Proving Candace Owens is a Con Artist Who is Following the Money." It says Candace Owens is doing her best to become the next Omarosa. However, even Owens' antics seem too extreme for the former White House staffer. Nonetheless, conservatives appear to be falling for her stunts. They only fall for her stunts because of the way she speaks in tone against us, because they hate us and they can't say what they want. So they use her as a smokescreen, as a buffer to say to us what they've always wanted to say. That's why she's nothing more than a puppet. Nonetheless, conservatives appear to be falling for her stunts, which has resulted in fame for the 30-year-old dry ashy and a platform for her to spit her hate from. Diddy had her babbling at the Revolt TV discussion on black issues. Killer Mike says she is his sister, and Republicans had her tap dancing at Congress to say white supremacy and white nationalism wasn't an issue. That said, Owens is a fraud, and we have endless receipts. The first one is the lawsuit with the NAACP. I'm not going to go through that because I just talked about that in the other video. That was her lawsuit that she took out for those racist calls. Let me see. The next one is the anti-Trump website. It says, In May of 2018, BuzzFeed reported that Candace Owens was the CEO of an anti-Trump liberal-leaning website called Degree 180. Owens wrote in 2015 that it was good news that the Republican Tea Party will eventually die off peacefully in their sleep, we hope. Now, that was 2015. What a complete 180, like the website states, to how her views are now. See, this is the thing. Candace Owens, like her, the person whose ass she loves to kiss, which is 45, was a Democrat at one point. But she saw she was not getting anywhere with that. So she had to go where she could get the bag. Hence why they titled this article the way that they did. It says Degree 180 also talked about Trump's penis size and him being racist with an immigrant wife. The site reportedly shut down by the end of 2016, and Owens magically, quote unquote, came out as a conservative on YouTube a few months later. There you go. She could not get the bag doing what she was doing as a quote unquote liberal, so she did a complete 180 and became a quote unquote conservative. Listen, everything about this bitch is fake, phony, bogus. Everything from the top of her head, to the bottom of her corn cushions. The next one, Fox News. By March of 2018, Owens was slithering onto TV stations and finally made it to Fox News. She spit out a line that went viral and made her a darling in pseudo-conservatives. Owens said the National Rifle Association was founded as a civil rights organization that protected black people from the KKK. Even the Fox News host said, "I've never heard that before. That's so interesting." She never heard it before either because it was a lie. PolitiFact confirms she lied or is just willfully ignorant. It's a combination of both. According to the NRA's own website, dismayed by the lack of marksmanship shown by their troops, Union veterans Colonel William C. Church and General George Wingate formed the National Rifle Association in 1871. The primary goal of the association would be to promote and encourage rifle shooting on a scientific basis, according to a magazine editorial written by Church. However, her fraudulent comment made her a media darling. The next one is another lawsuit. Back in January of this year, Owens attacked New York Representative Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez for being fiscally irresponsible because the new elected congresswoman couldn't afford an apartment in Washington, D.C. However, reporter Nathan Bernard exposes Owens by posting a lawsuit that shows she rented a $3,500 apartment, lived there for 6 months rent-free, then claimed she had gotten toxic mold sickness and threatened to sue her landlord in order to avoid payment of rent. I'm loving this article I'm reading right now. I'm mad I didn't come across this 2 months ago. But it fits now because of the topic at hand. She allegedly stopped paying rent in September of 2016 and was evicted in January of 2017, which coincides with her coming out as a conservative only months later. So now you're seeing what's going on. She's, like I said, she's only doing this because she needs the money. Why do you think she's ramped up? Listen, her getting fired at Turning Point USA. Now you see why I did that Petty Pendergrass video on her when that happened. I told y'all months ago, this bitch is broke. She is a part of the new BBC bum bitch culture. Why do you think she's married to that guy now? Because he comes from money. He comes from what you call good stock. She probably don't love that man. But it looks good for the optics because as much white ass as she kissed, she would better have married a white guy. It would have been shocking to the world if she married anyone else. And when I say anyone else, I'm not just talking about a black guy. I'm talking about any guy, a Hispanic guy, an Asian guy, an Arab guy, a Native American man, so on and so forth. And not only did she marry a white guy, she married the original European. She hopped all the way across the pond to get her husband from the original Neander continent. As for the mold claims, a legal analyst told Bernard Media the obvious question is if the place was so unlivable, why stay there 6 months, even rent-free? Why not get out there, especially if you can afford an apartment for $3,500? It's not difficult to identify a toxic mold infestation either. If you started to exhibit symptoms that seem related to the infestation, why not notify a doctor immediately? Also, why sue a year later after moving out? There are a lot of questions that arise on first glance at this case. She's going to have a huge burden of proof at trial. The next one is social autopsy. In the spring of 2016, now it's amazing that this woman, now listen to these dates. All of them seem to be 2015, 2016, between those 2 years. This woman seems to have committed so many frauds for money in that year, only to then turn herself into a conservative the following year to keep the bag flowing. Owens launched an anti-cyberbullying website called Social Autopsy. She reportedly started a Kickstarter campaign to raise $75,000, and it says she sure likes money she doesn't have to work for. CTPost.com described the site as a searchable database of offensive speech found on social media. Owens wanted to expose people who anonymously harass others online, which is known as doxing and is a huge no-no among conservatives. She claimed she got pushed back from the left, which was allegedly one of the sparks that lit her conservative fire. However, Quillet.com reported it was the right who attacked her. While Owens portrays herself as a victim of leftist persecution, the fact is that the initial backlash against Social Autopsy came mostly from the cultural libertarian opposition to authoritarian left. YouTube video bloggers Matt Jarbo, are known as Mundane Matt, and Chris Maldonado, also known as Chris Ray Gunn, both strong critics of Social Justice Warrior, were among the first to blast the project as a terrible idea. Another early negative report came from none other than Breitbart. It was written by Alan Bakari, a frequent co-author of the not yet disgraced Milo Yiannopoulos, aka Tinker Bitch, and a leading foe of the SJW left in digital and tech culture, the site wrote. This would make sense because it is clearly people on the right or MAGA crazies who don't want to be exposed for the hatred. You can hear Owens doing the voiceover for the Social Autopsy video. I'm not going to play it. The next one is Blexit. Now, I kept telling people that she stole that. She stole that name from the people over across the pond. Her term Blexit, which got her embarrassed by Kanye West, who implied she used him, is a slogan that was stolen from the Bank Black movement. Listen to the actual founder of Blexit, Mela Connolly, explaining how Owens stole her slogan. I'm not going to play that either. But I remember it now. It's all coming back to me now. She did steal that. So it's like she stole from multiple ways. She stole it from a black person, and she got a little bit from overseas when they were going through that issue, because we kind of knew that about the overseas incident because we didn't know before we knew about this woman that I just named her Mela Connolly. In addition, Owens' Blexit site is packed with historical inaccuracies. Historian Kevin Cruz broke this down for her on Twitter, and he was blocked. The thread is an excellent read, packed with facts. Within only a few years, Owens had two failed internet projects, didn't pay rent, and then somehow became a conservative, landing a job at Turning Point USA. She is now known for outlandish language. She said Hitler only wanted to make Germany great again. After the horrific mail bomb sent to Democrats back in October, she tweeted, then deleted, "I'm going to go ahead and state that there is a 0% chance that these suspicious packages were sent out by conservatives. The only thing suspicious about these packages is their timing. Caravans, fake bomb threats, these leftists are going all out for midterms." There are true conservatives out there who have been involved with politics for years, but Owens does not appear to be one of them. She is clearly in this for the fame, attention, and is definitely following the money. I'm glad I came across that particular article, but see, we all knew that Candace Owens was fake as hell. Anybody with a functioning sound brain knows that this bitch is definitely in it for the bag. Now, here's what I would like Candace to do. to sit down somewhere and make some babies and be quiet. Well, you know what? I take that back, because I couldn't see Candace Owens wanted to. She could, but I would rather her not to. The world would be better off not having the spawn of Candace. I would rather deal with the seed of Chucky than the seed of Candace Owens. So in that case, let me scratch that part. Let her just sit down and shut the fuck up. Because we are tired of hearing her mouth. We are tired of hearing about her. And we're tired of seeing her. But she's going to continue to do this because she needs the money. She is a part of the new BBC. As a matter of fact, she's practically leading it. Because she's a notable figure. I hate it that I have to call it that, but it is what it is. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one.